Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to talk about the Week 1 results for the Stage 0 Circuit Series that we are running this month. And for people who are more interested in the Circuit Series, the lowdown on that real quick is that we're doing 4 tournaments, webcam-based at Wednesday nights. And then if you guys get a win, you get a point, so every win gets a point, and whoever has the most points after the 4 tournaments this month, we add them all up, and they get a box of Romance Dawn. So this is just kind of for fun. It's free to enter tournament series just for people to get into One Piece, into webcam matches, and just getting ready for the Treasure Cups that are happening this next month. So if you guys want to enter or get more information, there's going to be a link to next week's tournament in the description, as well as to the Stage 0 Discord for you to join if you have any questions. And if you have any more, just ask me in the comments and we can do it. It's free to enter, 32-person caps for these events. And if it does fill up, a lot of people do kind of drop off last minute because this was capped at 32 and then just 10 people didn't show up. So if you need to, there's a wait list, so there's a chance for you to join it even if you didn't get in the original first 32. But anyways, going on to this event here. So we did have Eustass Captain Kid taking it with Green Kid, a Purple Kaido, and Blue Doffy taking second and third. We're going to do a top 5 video here because we have the first undefeated, which went 5-0, and then we had 4 decks that went 4-1 as well that I want to kind of go over. But looking at the breakdown, there were 5 Kaidos, 4 Doffys, 4 Green Kids, 3 Red Luffys, 3 Zoros, 2 Laws, and a single blue crocodile as well. And so I think Kaido is still like the strongest deck in my mind, and the only issue with it is that it is you can brick with this very, very easily, right? You have to run so many cards that are not counterable, and you have to see if you find your island. But I'm always on the mindset if enough people are playing Kaido, there's going to be at least one person who just sees everything they need every time, and they just do very well with it. And I think that's a good idea for that. Doffy, really surprising that, that and Green Kid are second tied for this event. But I think Kid's never really gone anywhere. I think Kid's pretty much like the best leader to start playing the game and just start learning how stuff works. But Doffy, I think, has been kind of creeping in popularity. It's been, in my opinion, like the best blue deck that we have. It's a little bit complicated and it's a little obnoxious to play against too, but it's very strong. And then Luffy versus Zoro. The one big surprise is that we only had 2 Laws for this event, and they didn't do very well. I'm not sure if it's people understanding how to play against the deck or teching against it, but I would always assume like Law is very strong. And spoilers, it's not in this top 5 either, so that's kind of interesting there. So anyways, enough about that. Let's go into the individual decks, starting with Justanotherhapa's Green Kid. Starting off, we have Justanotherhapa's undefeated Eustass Captain Kid list, and Kid's always just been a very good deck in this game. Obviously, the game hasn't existed for very long, but as a starter deck that has like a really good base, is probably one of the best starter decks in the game just to start off with. But just being able to have such a good win condition on the leader itself, it just means that if you're able to sneak a lot of damage early game, that just means that you put your opponent on a very quick clock at the end of the game, just because you can do a lot of big swings with your Kid leader if needed, and that can just be very, very strong. So I think that's still a really great win condition in the game. But also he has just a lot of great cards to interact with your opponent's board and kind of interact with your opponent too. So just the idea of one, you have 2 searchers with it like Koizuki and Jewelry Bonnie both being able to look at the top 5 for cards. Specifically being able to look up your top end too. Bonnie's still the better because you can find Trafalgar Law, you can find Basil Hawkins, you can find Captain Kid, and you can find both Captain Kids essentially. So this is just like a really, really good card for finding this, because you don't want to be running a bunch of your top end just because they are a little bit bricky at times because they don't have that. Though brickiness doesn't mean as much in this deck because you can always just discard a card off the leader effect to get the restand and another swing. So I don't know, it's just great for all the finds you're able to do for this too. Cat Viper's in the deck too. This card's just obnoxious for early game pressure, so being able to do that, as well as the Okiku. Both the Cat Viper and Okiku I think are great. In this current meta, there's not a lot of hard destruction effects, at least in green, but being able to interact with stuff being able to rest something either means that you can swing into it, get rid of it, or you can get rid of turn off a blocker, which is really great. So if they have one blocker to try to save them for the turn, you can cap Viper it away, or Nekomamashi, I believe is the... I can never do the actual localized name. I can never remember it, but that's very, very strong there too. Izu is the same thing. You can do the same thing, but it's a 3 cost, and it's a 2k counter, so you want it in your hand. Sachi's just for another blocker, and it's actually like a 3... drop blocker just means that you can play it off the Eustass Captain Kid. So like you do have like a couple in the deck, but I think 2 more strictly to be able to play off the Captain Kid. And if your opponent kind of, since you have to buff your cards before you attack in this game compared to like Dragon Ball where you can do it mid-attack, it's really important that, if your opponent wants to try to get rid of this kid, they have to get an 8k attack in, and then you can just block it with a little Sasachi or something like that. So I think that's a great little add there. Trafalgar Law, same thing, but obviously 6k blocker is a little bit more valuable. You don't really want to get rid of it. And I really like Punk Gibson for this one. The only card that I don't see that I see a lot of other people play is the Paradise Waterfall, but with the amount of just defensive options and like having 2 more blockers, I think that's kind of justified for it. But yeah, Punk Gibson is such a great card, and running it at 3, it feels like a little a little greedy, but man, it really pays off when your opponent's not expecting a card like this. So really like the list. Congrats to Justanotherhapa for their win there, and good luck on the next couple weeks of the Circuit Series. Next up, we do have Brightbear's second place Kaido, and the next 4 lists that we're talking about are all 4-1 for these events, so they all got 4 points going into the Circuit Series there. So the kind of interesting ads for this one, first is the Korozumi, which I haven't seen a lot of. It is a 2k counter, which is great, and it has an on-play to reveal an artificial devil fruit from your deck and add it to your hand, which you're not running, but you could be using it to see, okay, if you're looking through your deck, you could say, oh, well, I can kind of guess how many Onigashimas are in my life or not. So that can be impactful, like turn 1, if you need that and you really need the Onigashima. And just, you can't use, if you are looking through your deck, you have to go quick through it. You can't like purposely look through your stuff. But it is, if you search through your deck and you happen to notice that there's only 3 Onigashima, that means you can maybe get lucky off it being the top card of your life or not, or just know like what your big Kaidos are looking like. So that's something you can do there, but also just a 2k counter is nice. Black Maria is and 2 blockers, great here. Sasaki as well. Just another, like you'll see, like this build is running pretty much all the 2k counters in it. Korozumi, Sasaki, Ulti, and X-Drake, all these are just great 2k counters for you. I don't know if you're ever playing any of them, but just like a lot of defensive mind with the idea that, and the issue with this in theory is that, like, yes, you get like a bunch of 2ks, but you have to be careful, because I think a lot of people kind of catch on once you start comboing a 2k when they swing with a 5k, that you can just swing with 5ks every time. And I don't know, like if all your counters are 2ks anyways, it doesn't really matter if you use 1ks to get out of it. But it just feels bad to me to have to over counter like that. But anyways, a strong kind of idea there, because we're not running a lot of event cards here. We're only running Blast Breath. We're not running the Thunder Bagua either. But we are kind of getting greedy a little bit on the top end. 7 Kings between the Star Deck one and the one from the set. But this Kings, I think, is getting more and more value as we're seeing it. Obviously, it doesn't hit as much in the mirror match, but most decks are running a couple like easy early drops and stuff. And the only thing, like this hitting a 4 is really great for like the Doffy matchup. And then this one's really good for like the any like red-green matchup, right? Because those have a bunch of like the smaller boys and girls to get rid of, and even like if they play a blocker early to get rid of it is kind of nice. Like Trafalgar Law, this is great against Trafalgar Law, which wasn't really represented today, but just very strong there. I do like the ads of the vanillas as well, just because these can both be like, these could be really hard to remove in the right matchups. And worst case, they're just a 1k counter. You use 3 Kaidos and of the Star Deck, and then 2 of the one from the set. I still don't know how I feel about this card. It's a big boy, and if you drop it, it's fine, but like it's just very slow after you hit it down too. So it's good at 2, but I feel like more times than not it's just stuck in my hand and it's not doing anything. But I digress. So anyways, congrats to Brightbear on their finish there. Next up, we have Riva's Doffy. And I really do like Doffy right now. It's a deck that I don't know if I take to a tournament because I don't know if I have the brain power to play it for like 4 or 5 rounds consistently, because it is a lot of sequencing and the top 5 effect, knowing what you need to draw and how to use your leader effect and like having to memorize that. It's just a lot of extra brain power that you need for, and which you like if you're around like 7 hours of playing like a game like this, it starts to kind of wear you down a little bit. But it's a very, very cool deck, and I like all the sequencing decisions and ideas for it in general. So this is looking like it's just running like I would say like the more standard package. I've seen like ones with Pacifista more of as just kind of like the extra generation, but this looks like it's just clearly running just your good 7 warlords and just going from there. One card too is like this Virgo. I've been seeing more Doffy players use, and it's great. It's just, even though you don't get to play it for free, playing it for 5 and having a 7k that your opponent's going to have a hard time getting rid of most of the time, because 5 means that you know King can't get rid of it, which is a great add from it. The only thing that can kind of get rid of it is that Eustass Kid can suspend it, arrest it pretty easy, but even though they have to still head over a 7, it's too big for Gum Gum Jet Pistol to take out by itself, though there are some ways to get the DP or the power level a little bit lower. And even blue can bounce it back with either like I guess the Crocodile Leader, which there was one, but it's not as popular as it was in the Star Deck meta, or Sables, which again a lot of decks aren't running Sables either. So I think it's a great just investment for 5 Dawn into this. Like on curve, it's a fantastic card. Also running 2 of the super rares from the set. Worst case, it's a 7k with Banish, which is really cool. If you add Dawn to it, just means that you can get one for free for like a Desert Spotter or Love Beam on the next turn. And then also, it's just a counter cost. Like, why would you not run this card if you have the room for it, just because it's never like ever super duper dead? 2 Don Quixote Don Flamingos. This definitely has been waning in popularity, but it is still a really, really great card for when you drop it and get rid of it, and doubly so for Dracula Mihawk. Even though this, they both get rid of 7s or less, and this being able to bomb deck it is very strong there. So the only other kind of ad that I see here that most people don't play is the Gecko that gives double attack, but like 5 or more cards in hand seems a little steep, honestly, at times. But if you get to do 2 damage, it's cool. I don't know. I don't like him as much, but 2 is not too harmful, and it's still a card that you get to play off the top of your deck for free if you're able to find it and sequence it right, and that's still kind of good there. So anyways, good job to Rivas for their 4-1 with this deck. Really like Doffy. I've been playing it a lot myself, and I think I underestimated how relevant it would be going into this meta, and I think that's fine because I wanted it to be good. So anyways, next up we have Rolfturcotte's Zoro. With this build here, and very, very aggressive. We didn't see him on stream at all because I think most of the games ended in like 15 minutes, just kind of how Zoro kind of goes. But man, Zoro is just in a great spot. It's very, very aggressive for what it does, and it's only going to get better with set 2. We've been seeing a lot of Zoros already in the Asian Japanese meta, but just the idea that you are a deck that just gets a bunch of cards out very quickly, and you're able to put a lot of Dawn underneath them, or get a lot of easy power boost for it. So fun adds for this deck. Like I like Gordon a lot. Gordon being able to cycle your deck, and then also for just 1 extra Dawn after Zoro effect means you can start pressuring damage there. Nico Robin's such a great card. The Utas at 3 of is great too, because you can like recycle your Zoro rush attacks too. So if you need another attack, that is great there. Honestly, like this, just saying that it's a draw 1 is just good enough in this deck because you don't get a lot of draw 1s in it. 2 of the Star Deck Zoros as well. This card is normally not on my radar, but it can get pretty chunky. It becomes a 6k on your opponent's turn as long as it has a Dawn underneath it, and it's a 7k on your turn, 8k with Zoro. So it does get the DP does add up really quickly for it if it does survive. And it can be very kind of scary and hard for your opponent to counter out of. One of the Trafalgar Law from the Film Red promo set, and then we do see like the Round Table, which can be great for assumingly Eustass Kid, and then also the Diablo Jumbo as well. I don't super like the Nami ad for this deck. It's fine for what it is, like a turn 1 play, but after that, I don't think it's great for the deck. Even even just because it's a 1k, which means you have to put 3 extra Dawn after leader effect for you to pressure damage with it, which is kind of stinky. But sometimes like you can use it to attack over one of their smaller cards too, so that could be impactful. But I don't know, Zoro's great. It's not. I don't know. It's an easy deck to kind of build in the sense of like you just play the good red cards, and it's just like a very aggressive kind of gameplay. But you still have to make some decision making. It's very aggressive in that way, and in a game that we don't really have, a lot of decks are really kind of mid rangey or kind of towards late game. This is, I'd say, one of the only like pure aggressive decks that exist right now, and it's very strong for what it is. So congrats to Rolf for their finish there. And to finish us off, we do have Majora's Eustass Kid as well. Some decision key points that I see for this one. Yamato, I really like Yamato as a card, but I don't think it's great, honestly. It is Wano Country, which means you can find it off the Koizuki, so another target for that isn't too bad because you don't have a lot from that. But just the fact that you're almost never going to be able to use this effect. Like, I've never seen a double attack banish go through, but just the fact that it's a 5-drop and it's never dead in hand is fine. So I think if you like running it, you like the card, running it too is not too bad. Paradise Waterfall, like we said, it was missing from the first place list, but I like this card for what it is too, being able to like block with something and then you get to restand with Paradise Waterfall. It just means like you can get another blocker for 1 a lot of the time, and Koizuki can also find it because it is a Wano Country. Yeah, you just look top 5 for a type card, and that doesn't have to be a character, and I think those are like the big differences. I think they switched the ratios between the Eustass Captain Kids between 3 and 2. I think the first place list ran 3 of the 1 from the set, the 8-drop, and 2 from the starter. But pretty much the same there without. I don't know. Green's in a really good spot. It's very flexible for what it does. It has a lot of cycle compared to a lot of other decks, and it's very flexible. Either you can use your leader skill as much as you want if that's more important, or you can build your board slowly and be really obnoxious about it too. So anyways, that is going to be the video for us today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Congrats to all of our competitors for our circuit series the first week. We will have another event on the next Wednesday as well. Again, it's in the description as well. A link to the tournament is on my Twitch, and it will also be re-uploaded to the Stage Zero YouTube channel, which is also linked in the description below. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.